Hey, this is Florian, OnlineTennisInstruction.com. In today's video, I want to talk to you about shot selection. We're going to take a look at a point that was played here in a practice set at Indian Wells in 2013. Unfortunately, I do not know the names of these two players, so we will call them Player 1 and Player 2. There's a common misconception in tennis, which is that pro players tend to hit close to the lines. As we'll see here in a second, instead these players leave a margin for error and they play what I call high percentage aggressive tennis. They're focused on hitting the ball hard with a lot of spin, but leaving a lot of margin for error so that they make sure they do not miss. Let's take a look at the entire point before I break it down. So player 1 starts the point off here with a second serve. And as we can see, it's a very good kick serve and the ball bounces up high on the one-handed backhand return here of player 2. This is a difficult return, of course, for a one-handed backhand player, and the mistake here usually would be to go for too much. Instead, you really want to focus on depth on this shot. You want to neutralize from this situation. So it turns out to be a great return with plenty of depth here, and down the middle is often a good option in this kind of a situation. Now player 1 is forced to hit the ball behind the baseline. He's also leaning backwards a little bit and he does not have a whole lot of angle to work with. So the options here really are to go deep into the forehand corner or to try to go back deep into the backhand corner. Creating an angle from here is very difficult. So he ends up hitting a high bouncing aggressive topspin shot to the backhand of player 2, and I believe that this was a great shot selection. Player 1 is now in a very good position to take control of the point with his forehand, and that's usually the deciding factor in pro tennis. Whoever can take control of the point with his forehand usually wins the point. So player 2 tried to get the ball to the backhand of player 1, but this slice ended up being short and sort of weak. So player 1 is now in the position he would like to be in inside the court, in control of the point with his forehand. And from here, he can really go for more. The two best options will be to either open up the court by going to the backhand side again with a bit of an angle, and this is a shot that most pro players can hit extremely well, or going to the forehand side very aggressive. So he ended up hitting into the forehand corner, and as you can see here, he left himself a margin for error, and pro players will do this most of the time. Now, of course, from inside the court, he can try to go closer to the single sideline because it's an easier shot. However, most club players will go way too close to the sideline from this situation, and pro players will almost never make an unforced error here. So it really depends on how accurate you can be from this kind of a situation without committing too many unforced errors. Player 2 anticipated this shot very well and now has the entire court open to hit into cross court, so this is a cross court shot almost all the time. Player 2 hits a pretty good shot, and now player 1 is slightly in a defensive situation here. The shot I would recommend right now is to go down the line with a high looping topspin shot to the one-handed backhand of player 2. I believe that's what player 1 tried, however he left that ball short, and now player 2 is in a good position to hit the ball cross court, and ideally he would like to hit this ball with an angle and then run around the next shot to take control of the point with his forehand. As it turns out, that backhand was probably not quite what he wanted. He didn't hit it as aggressive as he would have liked to, and also he didn't really open up the court. Player 2 is still on offense though and is probably looking to hit the next shot with a forehand. Player 1 should really try to get this slice deep. This shot is all about depth. It really wouldn't hurt player 1 to hit this shot towards the middle of the court as long as it is deep. So he hits that shot deep, very good execution, and now player 2 has this backhand right here. This is a very interesting situation. It's not a tough shot, he's in a good position, and I believe here he really should go for one of two things. He should either try to aggressively open up the court with an angle, or he should try to go for a down the line shot. He ends up going cross court. However, I believe this shot was not aggressive enough. He certainly could have hit with more angle from that situation. However, this is a typical pro player type of miss, because the miss actually results in the player remaining in a good position. So they will tend to miss their target towards the middle and not towards where the ball is actually out. Now player 1 has this shot right here, and this is a situation where I see club level players make huge mistakes all the time. This is a very routine shot for player 1. This ball is going to go cross court deep, not towards the sideline, 90% of the time at least, and it's just a very routine shot where club players tend to overhit and try all sorts of things. So player 1 hits essentially the perfect shot here into the perfect target, not too close to the sideline and very deep. So player 2 now has this slice backhand here from behind the baseline. Not an easy shot. I believe he could go down the line. He could go cross court and try to keep it short and angled to the backhand. He could also try to go deep towards the backhand corner. However, that would probably be my least favorite option, because then player 1 is likely to run around and hit a big forehand. He decides to go down the line and ends up missing this shot slightly deep. Let's look at this point one more time. We see great shot selection here. They're playing high percentage aggressive tennis and picking the right targets almost every single time. The most common mistake I see at the club level is trying to go for the lines with relatively slow shots. Instead, you want to try to play aggressive but leave yourself enough margin for error. Thank you for watching this video. To watch all of our free videos, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel below.